everyone, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my writing tip video series. In the month of July, I've been talking all about publishing, and today specifically, I'm going to talk about finding a literary agent. Okay, so I'm going to give you 4 tips on how to find a literary agent. The first tip is to make a list of all of the agents that you want to query. So there are lots of different ways that you can find literary agents. You can use a book called The Writer's Market. You can use a website called querytracker.net. You can attend writing conferences and meet agents that way. You can even go on Twitter and look up manuscript wish lists, and you'll see a lot of agents posting things on Twitter that they wouldn't mind reading. So you can kind of scroll through there and see if there are any agents that might be a good fit for you. You can look at books that are similar to your book and look at the acknowledgments section and find out which agent is representing that author. Usually they will thank their agent. Typically it's very early on in the acknowledgments section, so that's a good way to find agents. Now, when you're looking into agents, make sure that they represent your genre. Definitely go to their website and read their submission guidelines. They all want a query letter, but sometimes they will want you to send the first 15 pages. Sometimes they'll want you to send the first 3 chapters. Sometimes they'll even want you to send the whole manuscript. Sometimes they want you to paste it into the email. Sometimes they want an attachment. Sometimes they don't want emails at all and they want snail mail letters. So just make sure you look at the literary agent's website or their listing on querytracker.net and you find out exactly what they want and try to tailor it to each individual agent. The second tip is you want to query in batches. So you don't want to just send out 50 query letters to all of your potential agents at the same time. What you want to do is send maybe, I'd say 7 to 15 in the first batch and see what kind of response you get. If you are getting a lot of just automatic kind of rejections, then you might want to take a look at your query letter and see if you can improve it. Or your first sample pages of your manuscript. If you are getting a lot of requests to see your full manuscript in that first batch, then you might not need to query the other agents. But I would say just make sure you don't send it all at the same time. This is a good way to kind of gauge the reaction of your query letter and your manuscript in general. You might even get notes from an agent about your actual manuscript that can cause you to revise it for the next round of queries. That actually happened to me when I was looking for a literary agent. I got a lot of agents that requested to see my whole manuscript because they liked my query letter and they liked my sample chapters. And then I got a lot of helpful feedback from agents who read the whole manuscript, and a lot of them had a lot of positive things to say, but some of them had some criticisms, but a lot of those criticisms were actually helpful, and I revised it before I queried other literary agents. So by the time I queried the person who actually became my literary agent, I think my manuscript was a little bit stronger. Number 3 is follow their directions. I've already kind of touched on this, but you really want to make sure that you do everything exactly the way they say. If you send an attachment to an agent who specifically requests that you paste your sample chapters in your email, they're just going to delete it. They're not even going to read it, probably. If they represent the kind of books that you don't think is a good fit for you, don't waste your time. Don't waste their time. If they represent young adult dystopian and you write young adult urban fantasy, Yes, they are both similar in that they're both young adult, but if they aren't looking for young adult urban fantasy specifically, I would try to find an agent who is. So basically, you want to pay attention to the things that they are saying online, do your research, get informed, follow their directions. And the fourth tip is don't forget to follow up. Now, a lot of agents will take a while to get to your manuscript. They are flooded with these queries every day. So, they're very overwhelmed and they have a lot of stuff to read and to get through. So you definitely want to give it the amount of time that they said it would take them. Usually they'll give you a response time on their website. It's usually going to be somewhere around 4 to 6 weeks. But I would say after it's been 6 weeks, if you haven't heard anything, I would send a brief follow-up email. Just something like, hey, I just wanted to check in with you and see if you've gotten a chance to look over my sample chapters, or just something very simple, brief, to the point, but just a little nudge. I think that's perfectly acceptable. You don't want to get annoying. You don't want to start sending these every day after 6 weeks, but I think it is important to send a follow-up email at around the 6 weeks, 2 month mark if you don't hear anything. I did this when I was querying literary agents, and I got a ton of people who had seen my original query letter, but it just got kind of lost in the shuffle in their inbox. And when I sent a follow-up, I got a couple of people who wrote back and they were like, oh yeah, I really wanted to read this. I'm going to leave a few resources for you down below. Definitely make sure you check those out. Next week, I'm going to be talking all about hybrid authors. What is a hybrid author? Do you want to be a hybrid author? So make sure you subscribe to my channel if you want to see that, or if you want to see any more videos about writing, books, or music. Don't forget to subscribe to my mailing list, The Daily Writer, for daily writing prompts. And until next time, thanks for watching, and happy writing!